Hi guys, topic for today, this video version of this reflection is Death by Zoom. Have you learned how to say no yet? Now, I have never spoken to so many people or had so many meetings as I have since this quarantine. Thanks to technology, I've been contacting more people, not less. Now, just looking at next week, I've got over 20 Zoom calls already scheduled with people, and it seems like everyone's using it. Anyone working from home is likely to be using it for remote meetings. Churches have adopted it wholesale. Anyone with shares in Zoom has done well with their investment. Now, if you're not using Zoom, then you're likely using something else to get online for meetings with friends, family, colleagues, and church. In just a couple of weeks, Zoom has become ubiquitous, a household name, and Zoom may now suffer from genericide, where the company becomes a generic term. We'll probably, if not already, be using the word Zoom for all forms of online meeting, like Hoover, the company, became hoovering. Familiarity breeds contempt. Now, what was novel quickly becomes familiar. As we know, familiarity does indeed breed contempt. And the more we become acquainted with something, the more we start to dislike it. And the Bible knew this human disposition long time ago. And the writer of the Proverbs in Proverbs 25:17 said this: "Seldom set foot in your neighbour's house. Too much of you and they will hate you." Now, if not yet, you might already be thinking, great, another Zoom meeting for work. I need that like I need a hole in the head. But something more pernicious will also take place. That weariness will carry over into our faith engagements. The magic, the delight of being able to meet with people, to share our faith, to pray and connect will become just one more thing to do online. Now, we used to be able to readily claim we were too busy or too tired, engaged in other things to do things with our faith with other people. But in a world of quarantine, everyone knows we're not out doing anything else. And those excuses have evaporated. Let me check my diary. Not much in it for most of us. But if not yet, then very soon you're going to be hearing from others and yourselves a customized version of previous excuses to avoid online meetings with other Christians. Oh, I've had too many meetings today. I can't make it. I need some downtime for me and my family, which will really mean I will trade time with others around my faith for what I used to do before the quarantine. Now, the one night in the week meeting to share and pray with other people about our faith will all too easily be surrendered to binging Netflix and scrolling social media for a few hours and a myriad of other things as a distraction. Indeed, there's another diagnostic of familiarity and contempt that is somewhat ironic. The complaint that I can't handle all the social media from the church in my life. Maybe you've said that or heard other people saying it. My social media feeds are flooded with Christian things. I can't keep up with it all. But we might continue to mindlessly scroll through all the usual stuff by other people in there. Now, some of the greatest and the, I'll be honest with you, almost all free resources for engaging in the Christian faith are being released to us at the moment. Podcasts, videos, apps, training courses. But we're in danger of missing them. And the events we're in now will be over, and we will emerge knowing which TV series has been on pause, what celebrities are up to, and when their films are going to restart, and what has happened to our sports teams. But we run the risk of missing the most significant opportunity in our lifetime to engage with what God has invited us into, and the outstanding resources He's provided for us. Why? Because there's something we have not yet learned to do. Billion-dollar industries are working overtime to keep our attention on them and not on the things that God would have us pay attention to. Most of us have been trained for over 10 years to scroll indiscriminately through the inane, and the average and the mediocre really are the enemy of the best, and the best is undoubtedly what God has for us with His people for His kingdom and His purposes. So, becoming indistractable, aka learn how and what to say no to. So what can we do to avoid this state of affairs? Well, I want to offer you some quick tips gleaned from a book, Indistractable by Nir Eyal. This book is the follow-up to Nir's first book, Hooked. Now, in Hooked, Nir showed from neuroscience how people behave in ways that companies could tap into to create habit-forming behaviours to capture people's attention. It sounds awful, doesn't it? Well, Nir recognised how this has been abused and how even he got hooked into distractions away from the life he could and should be living. So his story is a salutary warning for us to wake up to the battle for our attention that is taking place right now. We also have a real enemy who is doubling down on securing our attention away from what God might be doing with us and has for us. So the man who wrote the Bible on how to distract people knows a thing or two about how to break free from those things, so that we can fix our eyes on the best things. Now, we can develop these things. These can become habits and practices that work with human behavior and nature. And they also work with the ways that God has made us. They can become a superpower for focusing our attention. At this time in history, do we want to emerge finally free from distractions, our attention given to the life we've always valued and wanted? Well, Near explains that the life we've always wanted is about knowing what to stop doing. I'll repeat that. The life we always wanted is about knowing what to stop doing. Elimination, eradication. Because we already know the right things to do. We just get distracted from them all the time. So Near sounds redolent of Paul here in Romans 7. The things I want to do, I don't do, and the things I don't want to do, I keep on doing. Now, so from research-based science and evidence, here are the 4 things to stop doing to get the life we want, so that we can do the things that we say we want to do. In other words, take action on these and we will focus on and do the things we've always wanted to do. Number 1, identify your discomfort. We need to master the things that go on inside us that lead to distractions. We avoid doing what's good for us because we surrender to doing things just to avoid discomfort and distraction. And the ways we avoid those things and learn to live with those things, if we can spot them, can become a trigger to new and better habits. There are moments that lead us to switch off, unplug and check out. And they become moments that we can, instead of opting out and being focused on the wrong things, go, aha, I'm doing that I'm too busy and tired thing I do that makes me reach for the couch, remote control, not going out. Make sense? Identify your discomfort, because that's what causes distractions. Turn your valleys into times, the second one. We have all the time we need for what we say we value, yet we give our time to things we value less. Why do we do that? Well, the solution's simple. Schedule time for what's essential and never break it for the stupid reasons that we come up with all of the time. Just show up no matter how you feel, no matter how tired, busy or discomforted. In other words, we need to stop lying to ourselves that it doesn't matter and stop lying about why we cannot do what we said previously we value. Third thing, identify and remove triggers. All those things we do that we wish we did not are caused by triggers. We've already mentioned this. Billion-dollar attention merchants know the things that will hook us. Now, if we can identify those triggers, we can switch them off. What does that mean? Notifications on your phone, switch them off. Look at messages at planned times only. Put your phone down. Stop following things. Hide away the inane and decide what doesn't add to your life and just remove it. Now, if chocolate was your dietary downfall, you would know how to avoid eating chocolate. Put it somewhere in the house where it's an effort to get it, or better yet, don't buy any. You can't spontaneously eat chocolate if you have to get in your car and drive to a supermarket late at night to find it. But you definitely don't let people who only want your money for their chocolate to put a bar by your bed, your sofa, your desk several times a day, open and ready for you to eat, with a sign on it saying, "Eat me, you deserve this." Because that's what we're doing with all this other stuff all day long. And also turn off the news. If you've had it on all day, stop it. By the way, in jasonswanclark.org, in my blog website, this article, I've got a link to an article here. It's by a media expert on how the news is designed to hook you and distract you and cause you to panic so that you give them your attention. I'm not saying all news is bad, I'm just saying the media outlets are designed to capture our attention in ways that are often not good for us. So choose contained places when we consume things, those things that cause us to fall down the rabbit hole of endless scrolling. Put them in special places, just boxed places where we only do them at certain times. Set an alarm for the maximum time you'll engage in things. Replace those things with better things. Put your Bible and books that feed your soul by your bed. Let your prayer app be your only notification. Let your online meetings with the Christian community be the thing that you see in your schedule above everything else. Pre-commitment. Now, this is the most potent habit and practice that empowers the other 3, and deciding in the moment what we're going to do is how we get hijacked from the best things every single time. So we need to pre-decide, not in the moment. Indeed, if you can't do the first 3 of these 4 strategies, just do this one. Decide now ahead of time what's most important. Put it in your schedule, tell others your decision to keep accountable, and turn up again, no matter how tired you are, discomforted, anxious. Turn up and do the thing you decided when you were your better self that you know is the best for you. Then you can reward yourself afterward with the less important things that you enjoy. Lastly, the choice is yours. You have agency. It's your life. You can choose or not choose. Notice the symptoms of distraction in your life. For most of us, there are actually very few times for connecting with other Christians around the most essential thing in life, our faith and the mission of Jesus. Even if you're regularly going to an online weekly small group meeting and a Sunday service, that's probably 2.5 hours of your week, a paltry 1.5% of the hours in your week. That's it, if you do that regularly. So if we are too tired to take part in that, too busy with other things, our awareness of that, noticing that, should be a trigger to remind us that something is wrong, that our attention is elsewhere on the wrong things. Now, if you don't value or care about time with others for your faith, go ahead, fire up Netflix. Paul reminds us, 1 Corinthians 10 verse 23, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. And in the Proverbs 4, 25 to 27, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. So if you value your faith, will you choose it now, pre-decide and prioritize it? It will be too late when all this is over. Now is the time.